Hi, welcome to the next tutorial in a series of video tutorials on how to make Dmods. Basically what we're going to do in this tutorial, in the previous tutorial I explained how global variables, and we created the bag. I'll show you just in case you're suffer from amnesia or something. We got the bag here, and I told you we would fix this bag so it doesn't come back anymore. Now, basically I lied, because we're doing that in the next tutorial, I've decided, because there's something I want to explain in this tutorial first. It should be a short one hopefully, and then in the next tutorial we'll move on to local variables, where we'll explain how to make that bag disappear. But first I want to explain something that will make the next tutorial a lot clearer. I originally filmed that whole tutorial, it ended up being pretty long, so I decided to teach this here in a separate tutorial, and it makes it clearer. So as you know, in the previous tutorial we created the endStory variable, the endStory global variable in main.c. Whoops, wrong one. Let's start, close that. Main.c. Down here we declared the variable endStory, and my computer is freezing up like a... Okay, it's just... that's alright, we'll just go with that. You can see down here where my cursor is, it's make global int endStory 0. So we've created or declared endStory. Declared is the proper term, so that's what I'm going to be using. We've declared the variable endStory, made it store the number 0. That is a global variable that can be accessed from anywhere, anytime, any place, as you would have seen that we've done. We've accessed it from the green guy, we've accessed it from the tree, from the poison bag up here. And then what we've done is we have just made it store just numbers every now and then, so we know from our own reference where the player's up to. So here we made it store 1, and then in the tree we made it store 2, and then Dink goes and gets the bag and it stores 3. Now, aside from just straight out telling it what number to store, we can make it store a value that we don't know. A value that it can retrieve itself that we're not quite sure of. Or let's say there's a value that keeps changing and we want to get that value. We can ask it to get that value and store it. So what I mean by this is, let's say I wanted to store I wanted to make a global variable, or any variable for that matter, and I wanted to store this guy's x coordinate in it. Now the only problem is this guy moves around, so his x coordinate always changes. So how are we going to know what his x coordinate is? So what we do is we tell the script, we write a line in the script to tell the game to get his x coordinate and store that value in the variable. So what we're going to do is we're going to mess with our endStory variable for a moment, and it's going to wreck everything for now, but we're going to delete it afterwards. It's just for explanation. So what we want to do is, if it'll let me actually look in my script, we're going to add something down here to his hit procedure. Okay, so for now we're going to get rid of his current hit line. Actually, we're not going to get rid of it, just add 2 forward slashes in front of it. That'll turn it into a comment line, so the game will ignore it, just while we demonstrate this. Since we haven't learnt local variables yet, we're staying away from this. We're just going to mess with the endStory variable that we've already created. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do the scenario I've just described. We want to get the x coordinate every time Dink hits the guy, so putting it in his hit procedure. Only problem is we don't know what his x coordinate is because he's already moved. So what we do is, I'm just going to store it in the endStory variable for now, like I said, and then we'll delete it afterwards. We're not keeping this here. So the way we do this is we write endStory equals, and we don't know what the number is, so we can't just write a plain number like we've done up here. we can't just write end story equals and then a number, because we don't know what the number is. So what we do is we use our command. We have used, you'll see we've used this command before, spx and current sprite. We might not have used it, but I'll explain it anyway. And then a number, we'll just say 200, right? What this command does is exactly what it looks like. It changes the x coordinate of the sprite we put here. I've put current sprite, which will be the green guy, because that's the sprite this script is attached to. So the x coordinate of the current sprite is going to be changed to 200. And actually, let's delete this for a sec, and we'll go into the game, and I'll show you what that does. It's going to instantly zoom him over to x 200. That's what that command does. And in future, I'm going to be using a lot of different commands we haven't used yet, and I'll give a brief explanation. So if we punch him, look at that, he just zooms right over to 200. And if we keep punching him, he just keeps appearing back at 200. He's actually stuck in a rock there. Punch him, he'll go back to 200. That's what spx does, it changes that x coordinate. And there's also spy, which changes the y coordinate. Alright, so we're going to sort of use this to store his x value, to get his x value and then store it in end story. Okay, so what we want to do is rewrite end story equals sp underscore x. We're accessing this command now. And current sprite, because we want the x coordinate of the sprite that the script is attached to, but we're going to write -1. And what -1 does in almost any command in DinkC is, what it's saying is the end story equals the x coordinate of the current sprite. That's basically what it's saying. That's what -1 does. It stores this command for this sprite in this variable. So rather than just writing end story equals a number, that's basically what we have written. End story equals the x coordinate of this sprite. So we have basically written end story equals a number. We just don't know what that number is, so we've used this to get it. That's what -1, that's the best way I can describe this. That's what -1 does in DinkC. It's for use when we want to store a value that we don't know inside a variable. We write the command like we would normally. We write everything else the same, but for the value, rather than setting it, we just write -1, and then it will store this for this sprite inside this variable. And to show you that it has indeed stored it, then what we'll have Dink say something, and we'll have Dink say the green guy's x coordinate is, and we're going to put the variable here, end story. And then we want Dink to say that, so we'll put 1, end the bracket and put a semicolon. Basically what this does is it's not actually going to come up with the text end story here on the screen. It's going to say the green guy's x coordinate is, and it's not going to say end story, it's going to say whatever number end story is equal to, whatever number it's storing. So in other words, end story is going to store the x coordinate of end current sprite, and then Dink is going to say the green guy's x coordinate is whatever value end story is, which is the x coordinate of the current sprite. So you can see how that works. It might be a little bit confusing, but type this out yourself and then go into the game and test it out, and you'll see what I mean. It'll become extremely clear. Let's play the Dmod. End story stores the guy's x coordinate, and then Dink, see, watch this. See, the green guy's x coordinate is 276. We should punch him again. The green guy's x coordinate is 294. The green guy's x coordinate is 295. So you can see it actually, rather than saying the text end story, just like any place in the script trying to access a variable, it accesses a variable and actually says the number it's storing. So now you can see, let's delete that because we don't want end story to store an x coordinate because that'll destroy the story. And then let's uncomment the hit line that we commented so it works again. So that's basically what I wanted to show you. Rather than just storing a plain number, you can get a value. You can get the editor to retrieve a value itself that you are not quite sure of. The way we do that is we use -1. We always use -1 in place of where we usually would put a value in order to do that. So in how long have I been recording for here? 11 minutes 18. Okay, I'm gonna okay, so basically that ends this tutorial. In the next tutorial I'm going to be going over local variables now that we understand that we can store more than just a plain number. Basically that's what we are storing, but we're retrieving that number first because we don't quite know it. So in the next tutorial we'll go over local variables and then I'll show you how to fix that bag so it never comes back. Thanks for watching, hope it was clear enough, see you in the next tutorial.